Hey friends, it's Laurie. Let's go make something. I'm starting my first project using two of the tin planters from the Dollar Tree, and both of these have the jute accent. I'm using a 6 and a 7.5-inch pot. I'm also using a 12-inch pizza pan from the Dollar Tree, and I'm actually recycling this one from a past project. So to begin, I'm removing the jute from both of the containers, and this is the easy part. It unwinds, comes off really easily, and I'm going to be saving it for my next project. Once you have it removed, trying to get the glue off can be a bit tricky. I didn't want to use chemicals, but you can. There are certain ones on the market you can try. The easiest way that I found to remove the glue was I boiled some water and I placed the top part with the glue in it. After it had set for a while, I then pulled it out and I just used a scrubby and it came right off. I made sure they were completely dry, and then using my white spray paint, I gave them both a coat. I then painted my pizza pan with the same spray paint. The only problem with the spray paint is it scratches off super easy, so I'm going to give each of them a coat of Mod Podge to protect the finish. To paint the stripes on my pots, I've picked a purple, a yellow, and a pretty spring blue. On my 6-inch pot, I'm painting 2 stripes. I decided I'd use my purple for my bottom stripe, and I ended up giving it 2 coats. Once my purple paint had dried, I'm then going to add on my yellow stripe. Because I'm adding the 7.5-inch planter on top, I'm not being super neat with the top part of my yellow paint. To finish up, I'm now painting a blue stripe on my 7.5-inch planter. To give all 3 of my pieces a little more character, I'm going to splatter them with all 3 colors of my paint. I'm starting with my purple paint, and all I did was put it on a paintbrush, and I'm tapping it against another paintbrush to add some speckles onto my pan and my 2 planter pots. Once my purple was complete, I then followed up with my yellow and my blue. I'm attaching my 2 pots together with some E6000. I'm placing some on the inside of my 7.5-inch pot, and then I'm sliding it over my 6-inch pot, making sure to match up the 2 seams. It's also important when you put them together to make sure they are level. I'm using some of these sparkly eggs from the Dollar Tree to embellish the outside edge on my tray. I started by removing the hangers that come on the end of each of the eggs. And then, using my glue gun, I alternated the colors and started gluing them around the outside edge of my tray. I'm making my tray for Easter, but if you don't want to add eggs, you can always just paint the outside edge to match one of the stripes on your base. When you're done, you have this really pretty tray on its own, but I'm going to add mine to the base. I'm using my E6000 to attach the 2 pieces together. Once my glue is added, I then place my tray on the top, making sure it is perfectly centered. To finish up, I'm adding a bow to my project using this pretty Dollar Tree Easter ribbon. I wrapped it around the top part of my base, I got my measurements, and I cut it to size. I hot glued it into place and I pinched the 2 ends together. I then made a simple bow and I hot glued it into place. And with that, my Easter tier pedestal tray is complete. I'm starting my carrot swag by using 5 of these wooden carrots from the Dollar Tree. For my fabric, I'm using this cute gingham check that I found at the Dollar Tree, along with some orange fabric that I had on hand. To cover my carrot, I'm placing it on the wrong side of the fabric. Then using a pencil, I'm sketching around it, giving myself enough extra fabric to fold it over the back. After I have it cut out, I'm then using my Mod Podge to attach the two pieces together. I'm placing a generous amount on the front and the side of my carrot, and then I'm placing the fabric directly on top. When I'm done, I'm turning the carrot over and I'm adding some Mod Podge to the side, and then I'm just folding the fabric around the edges of the carrot. After my first side is complete, I then do the same thing on the other. When I'm done and I come to the point, I just fold it over to give it a nice finished edge. After my first gingham carrot is complete, I then go on and I follow the exact same instructions for two more gingham carrots. The back of my carrots are facing a wall, so I'm not covering them, but if you want, all you need to do is cut another piece of fabric and just attach it onto the back. I now have my 3 gingham print carrots made, and so I'm going to use my orange fabric and make 2 more. Once again, I'm following the exact same instructions to make my plain orange carrots. When I'm finished, I'll have 5 covered carrots. To paint each of my carrot tops, I'm using some of this shamrock green acrylic paint. Once I let the first coat dry, I did have to go back and give them each a second. I'm using 15 small wooden beads as accents, and I did double check that my jute would fit through the openings. I slid them onto a skewer to make them easy to paint, and I'm painting 10 white and 5 orange. Once my beads have dried, I'm recycling the jute from my first project, and I'm going to attach them all together. I slipped my jute through the opening and I made a knot on the other side. I'm just kind of eyeballing the length that I want to start with, and I cut my jute at about 10 inches. I then added on my 2 white and my 1 orange bead. Once I was done, I wrapped my jute a couple of times around the top part of the carrot and I tied it off. By doing this, it will conceal where I attach the fabric to the carrot. This time I'm following the exact same instructions, but I'm going to be using one of my plain orange carrots. I'm not measuring my jute as I go, I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and this time I cut it at about 13 inches. If you're more comfortable cutting your jute ahead of time, I cut mine allowing about 3 extra inches per length and per carrot. With my first 2 complete, this gives you an idea of how they will hang on the wall, and now I'm heading over and starting with my next gingham carrot. Once again, I'm following the exact same instructions, with the exception that this time I'm cutting my jute at about 16 inches. I'm now adding my plain orange fabric carrot, and this length of jute will be at about 19 inches. My last carrot will be my orange gingham, and the length of this jute will be at about 22 inches. Once I'm done, I'm placing the carrots in the order that I want them to be. I'm then gathering the ends of the jute together and I'm tying them off in a knot. Now that they're all attached together, you can see how they'll hang on your wall. To hide the knot, I'm making a bow using the white 2-inch burlap from burlapfabric.com. I'll link that below, and the 2-inch Dollar Tree burlap. I'll be attaching it together with a piece of floral wire. I'm matching up both ends of the burlap and giving myself about an 8-inch tail. I'm then making about a 3-inch loop, and then all I'm doing is twisting the burlap underneath, and I'm making another 3-inch loop. I check that both my loops are the same size. I then twist my next loop of burlap, matching my original loops. And to finish up, I make one more loop of burlap. I attach it all together using my piece of floral wire, and then I cut the tails to match. When I was done, I fluffed it up and I attached it over the knot. I made a little hanger out of a piece of jute, and with that, our hanging carrot swag is complete. I'm starting my third project by using one of the small Dollar Tree foam footballs. My Dollar Tree didn't have any eggs, so I'm going to use this instead. I'm also using one of the Dollar Tree glass candlestick holders along with some yellow spray paint. Now that it's painted and dry, I'm going to get the measurement of where to cut my football. I want it to sit flat, so I'm taking off about an inch. With that complete, I'm giving my football a coat of white chalk paint. I'm not being super fussy, it's basically to just cover the colors of the football. To cover my egg, I'm using some purple, white, and yellow flowers from the Dollar Tree. I removed the flowers from the stems. And once I had my pile, using my hot glue gun, I started to glue them around my egg. As I was adding them, I didn't have any set pattern. I just kept gluing them here and there until my egg was covered in flowers. I'm making this project for spring and Easter, but I think if you changed up the colors of the flowers in the base, this would be so pretty to use all year long. Now that my egg is complete, and before I add it to the base, I'm going to use some white acrylic paint, the end of my paintbrush, and I'm going to add on some dots. I'm just randomly adding the dots here and there, and this step is completely optional. I just wanted to add on a little bit of whimsy. When my base was dry, using my glue gun, I simply added my egg to the top. To finish up, I used this pretty purple sheer ribbon that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I made a simple bow. I used my glue gun and attached my bow to the base, and with that, my Easter egg tree is complete. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed making these projects with me. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that little red subscribe button below. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.